Okay, Mr. Rudra, how can we do first question? Mr. Rudra?
So we have to divide 72 by 3.
Sir, what we have to do is, Christine and Stephanie share some money in the ratio of 3:2. Christine receives $72. Work out how much Stephanie receives. So the ratio is 3:5. Let total be X. Then the ratio is 3:2. So Christine would have received 3 by 5 of X. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No, sir.
3/5 of X would be equal to 72. Therefore, you will get the value of X 72 into 5 upon 3. Any doubt?
No, sir.
This is the total money that was there. And how much Stephanie would receive? She would receive 2/5 of 72 into 5 by 3, which would be equal to 5 and 5 would cancel. So 2 by 3 of 72. Any doubt?
No, sir.
And if you calculate this, this will be equal to 3 to the 4 the 24 to the $48. So this is how you can do the ratio questions. The second question is Christian spends 45% of his $7.72 on a computer game. Calculate the price of the computer game. How will you do this, Mr. Rudra?
The 45% of 72.
45% of 72. Okay. So 45% of 72, whatever value you will get, would that be the answer?
No, sir.
Why? Mr.
It's the
Rudra,
price of the game.
$72 is the portion of Christian. Now he has spent 45% of 72 on a computer game. So calculate the price of the computer game. So whatever you get here will be your answer.
Yes, sir.
Is there a confusion?
No, sir.
See, so Rudra, this is the money that he has. He has $72. So he has spent 45% of 72 on the computer game.
Yes, sir.
So whatever you answer, you will get. Whatever answer you get here would be the price of the computer game. Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in the next question, Mr. Rudra, Christian also buys a meal of $8.4. Calculate the fraction of $72 Christian has left after buying the computer game and the meal. So this is the computer game that he has bought for. This was the answer of this second part. Now he has also bought a meal of $8.4. So the total money that he has spent is $40.8. Money he had was this. So this is the answer that you will get. Any confusion?
No, sir.
Mr. Rudra, there is a mistake here. This is, okay, let me do it like this. 10 at the 2, 1, 7 minus 4 would be 3. Is it okay? So the answer would be $31.2. So in this part, Mr. Rudra, Stephanie buys a book in a sale for $19.2. This sale price is after a reduction of 20%. 20% would be the reduction on the original price. We have to find the original price. Let original price be $100. Reduction is 20%. Therefore, selling price would be $80. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
Now, if selling price is $80, then the original price is $100. If the selling price is $19.820, because see, this is a price at which Stephanie has bought the book and the shopkeeper has sold the book. So for shopkeeper, this would be the selling price. So using basic unitary method, we can find the value that if 19.20 is the selling price, then the original price would be $24. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
So in this question, Boris invests $550 at the rate of 2% per year simple interest. So this is simple interest. Calculate the amount Boris has after 10 years. So using the formula of simple interest is equal to P into R into T upon 100. We can find the simple interest. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Sir, what you need to remember is they are asking you the amount. So this is only the simple interest that you have to find, that you have found. Principal needs to be added to it so that you have the final answer. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
Otherwise, you will be losing marks. Because when you are doing compound interest, whatever answer that you get is the amount. Do you see the difference between
Yes, sir.
compound interest? Now that is a major mistake, confusion that students do. So while using the compound interest formula, remember that you will get the amount. And for example, in this case, if I need to calculate compound interest, I will be using this formula. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So I'll be using 663.9 minus 550. Just remember, I don't have to find the compound interest in this question. I'm just illustrating that when you are using simple interest formula, you will be getting interest and you have to calculate amount. But when you use compound interest formula, you will get amount. And if you want, you can calculate the compound interest. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So in the next question, Hans invests $550 at a rate of X% per year compound interest. At the end of 10 years, he has a total amount of 638.30. Correct to the nearest cent. Find the value of X. So the formula is the same. Formula is the same. Amount is equal to P 1 plus R upon 100 raised to power T. Now in this case, the amount is 638.30. The principal is $550, 1 plus X upon 100. See, the question is simple. Now if you know how to use the calculator, this will come below this. This is what you will get. Plus 1 plus X upon 100 raised to power 10. So 1 plus X upon 100 would be equal to the 10th root of this. Mr. Rudra, is there a confusion?
No, sir.
Now you have to use the calculator. When you use the calculator, you basically have to get the answer of this first and then raise it to 0.1. When you do that, this is the answer that you will get. Mr. Rudra, any confusion?
No, sir.
But then you should know that this is not the final answer because 1 plus X upon 100 is equal to this. So X upon 100 would be 1.015 minus 1 because minus would come this side. So the answer would be 0.015. And when you multiply this 100 by this is the answer you will get. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
In the next question, Mr. Rudra, fx is given, gx is given, hx is given. So find the value of gf by 2. Whenever such questions are given, you need to solve this f of 2 first. So f of 2 is simple to solve. F of 2 would be equal to 1 minus 2 into 2. This will be equal to minus 3. Once you have the value of f of 2, then you put f of 2. Basically what you do is you put this minus 3 here. So basically you have to calculate g of minus 3 or calculating g of minus 3, you put the value of minus 3 here and the answer would be minus 1 by 3. Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
These are pretty simple questions. They usually come in the exams and they are very simple to score if you understand the logic. Second part is calculate h of minus 2. All you need to do is put the value of minus 2 here. Put the value of minus 2 here. So this would be minus 2 cube plus 1, and that would be equal to minus 7. Any doubt?
No, sir.
In the next question, they are asking you find f of gx. Again, the logic remains the same. First, you need to deal with gx. What is your gx? My gx is 1 upon x. Okay. Now, whatever is my gx, so I need to find the f of 1 by x. Now, if you see the formula of fx, the formula of fx is 1 minus 2x. In this part, we need to find, in this part, this x is actually 1 by x. So the answer would be 1 minus 2 upon x. So what is this? This is f of g of f, or as it is written in this, f g x. So f g x would be this. This is the final answer. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
They are simple questions. All you need to understand is the logic. Very simple to understand. Basically, and that is why I'm writing it like this. Basically, if you see these questions as like this, they become easier to understand. So what you need to understand is that f g x is actually value of f at this x. If you calculate this value, so first you need to calculate the value inside, then put it in the outside function. Is there a doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
Okay. Find h inverse x. Now h inverse x is again simple to find. Just take the function. This function, put it as y. So y is equal to x cube plus 1. Then if you have to find the inverse, just exchange x and y. So what I'll do is I'll put y here, I'll put x here. Okay, this is step 1. And step 2 is then find the value of y in terms of x. So what does this mean? This means that x is equal to y cube plus 1. This is what I have done. Then I need to find the value of y in terms of x. So that is why this minus 1 goes this side, and y equal to x minus 1 raised to power 1 by 3. So your final answer would be h inverse x, because now this is the inverse function. H inverse x is x minus 1, and you need to find the third root of this. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So, Mr. Rudra, in the next part, write down which of these functions show the graph of y is equal to fx, y is equal to gx, and y is equal to hx. So, these fx, gx, and hx, they are basically being represented by the function which have been given to us, where fx is 1 minus, gx is
1 by x.
hx is
X cube plus 1.
x cube plus 1. So 1 minus 2x, y minus 1 minus 2x. So first thing that I need to understand is that this would be the curve of a straight line. Any doubt?
No, sir.
So y is equal to 1 minus 2x. It can't be this, it can't be this, it can't be this, it can't be this. It would be either of this. These are the only two choices that I have. And the second thing that I can do is I can put an easy point here. The easy point is x is equal to 0. When I put x is equal to 0, the answer that I get is y is equal to 1. So when x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1. But here when x is 0, y is minus 1. So this is not the answer. This would be the answer. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
The second thing is y is equal to 1 by x. Now here also I need to understand concept of asymptotes. Asymptotes. What asymptotes is that when x goes to infinity, the value of y would go to 0. Any doubt?
No, sir.
In these functions, in all these graphs, the only graph which is having an asymptote is this graph. And if I want to study it carefully, when x is going to infinity, my y is going to 0. Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
And if I take any point which is very, very close to 0, let us assume I take a point like 1 upon 1 lakh. If I take a point like this, if x is equal to this, then y would be equal to 1 lakh. Mr. Rudra, are you understanding the logic?
Yes, sir.
And that is why this graph is going increasing a lot when it is close to x. So y is equal to 1x would be this. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No, sir.
And finally, I have graph of x cube plus 1. Again, I should understand that a general graph of a cubic function, looks something like this. To check whether this is the graph, or maybe this is the graph, what I can do is I can put the value of x is equal to 0. Why I prefer x is equal to 0? Because x is equal to 0 is a easy point. So at x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1. Is this true? Yes. At x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1. So this is being satisfied. Mr. Rudra, any doubt?
No, sir.
Mr. Rudra, for this equation, is there any other easy point that you can take? So for this, if you want to have some other, if you do want to have some other analysis, at x is equal to 0, y is equal to 1. Another easy point that you can take is, take is x is equal to minus 1. At x is equal to minus 1, the value is 0. This is that point. This is the point minus 1, 0. This is the point 0, comma 1. So, Rudra, any doubt in identifying the functions?
No, sir.
So, Mr. Rudra, in the next question, kx is equal to x minus 3, x raised to power 5 minus 3. Now, we have to solve this. They have given kx, but they are asking us to solve the inverse k is equal to 2. So first we need to find the inverse function. How do we find the inverse function? Again, the same process that we had followed before. Y is equal to x raised to power 5 minus 3. So I'll interchange x and y. So y will become x and x will become y. So I need to find the value of y in terms of x. So y raised to power 5 would be equal to x plus 3 and y would be equal to x plus 3 raised to power 1 by 5. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
Once I have the value of y, then this y is actually my inverse function. K inverse x is equal to x plus 3 1 by 5. But the value of k inverse y is 2. So this would be equal to 2. So the equation that I need to solve is this. X plus 3 raised to power 1 by 5 is equal to 2. How do I solve this? I can take a small example. Let us assume I have to solve x raised to power 1 by 3 is equal to 2. So for solving this, what I do is I cube the equations on both sides. X 1 upon 3 whole over 3 is equal to 2 raised to power 3. So this would be equal to 1. Answer would be 8. Similarly, when I have to solve this, so x plus 3 would be equal to 2 raised to power 5. Mr. Rudra, are you having any doubt here?
No, sir.
X plus 3 would be equal to 32 minus 3 and this would be the final answer. So in this part, question number 3, whether is fine probability that Carlos is arriving at school is 1 by 10. So weather is fine, Carlos is late. So weather is fine and Carlos is late. So the probability that I have is 1 by 10. So this is written here. Weather is not fine. The probability that he is late is 1 by 3. So I'll be writing 1 by 3 here. Any doubt, Mr. Rudra?
No, sir.
The probability that the weather is fine on any day is 3 by 4. So the probability that the weather is not fine on any day would be 1 by 4. Any doubt?
No, sir.
1 minus 3 by 4. Okay. And I have 1 by 10. So this value, if I need, weather is fine, he is arriving late. So not late would be 1 minus 1 upon 10 equal to 9 by 10. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So I have found 9 by 10 also. And the final thing that I need is that this is given, 1 by 3 is given. So if this is 1 by 3, so the weather is not fine, he is not late, the probability would be 2 by 3. Any doubts, sir?
No, sir.
And these are the individual probabilities that I have. These are various combinations. Weather fine, he is late would be this. Weather fine, he is not late. Weather not fine, he is late. And weather not fine and he is not late. So these are the individual probabilities that I have. So let us look at the first part. In a school term of 60 days, find the number of days the weather is expected to be fine. So if I have 60 days in total, the weather would be fine on 3/4 of the days. So my answer would be 45. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Then the next part is find the probability that the weather is fine and Carlos is late. So the weather is fine, but Carlos is late. So this would be equal to 3 by 4 into 1 by 10. Any doubt?
No, sir.
This is also done. And the D part is find the probability that Carlos is not late arriving at school. He is not late. The probability would be this plus this. Any doubt?
No, sir.
3 by 4 into 9 by 10 plus 1 by 4 into 2 by 3. Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay.